Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are, as always, very happy to see you all here. Let's start our workshop. While people are joining, let me introduce myself. My name is Kate. I'm a Learning and Development Manager here at Omnisend, and I will be your host today. I guess some of you might wonder why this workshop is about Black Friday, because it's months away yet and e-commerce still has other holidays to celebrate. And you are not wrong, but there are reasons to start prepping early this year, and not even this year overall. And as you might already know, we have a series of workshops dedicated to Black Friday prep, and we have 4 steps to go through. Make sure not to miss those and join us. And today we start with step number 1, collect subscribers. And I have an amazing e-commerce expert with me today, Gabe Macaluso. So Gabe, go ahead and welcome our audience.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining today. Super excited to be here to chat with Kate. And I am the Director of Customer Success here at Omnisend. I've been in email marketing for just about a decade now. I'm like an old man in email marketing. So I get really nerdy and excited about this. But to start off, I'd love to see where everyone is from. So if you want to just pop that into the chat where you're from, I'm calling in from Charleston, South Carolina, and super excited to be here today. So we got Denver. Awesome. Orlando. My kids are at SeaWorld right now, and I'm not there.
Oh. Okay, thank you so much for the introduction, Gabe. While you all typing where you're from, let's quickly go through our agenda so you know what to expect from this workshop. We know that you guys are all at different email marketing levels here, but don't worry, we've prepared some good insights for all of you, and we will build a sign-up pop-up form from scratch today, and I will be your guide showing you how to do things inside Omnisend's form builder and create a beautiful form. And Gabe will share all the secrets on how to make your form convert at its best. So, what type of form is better, what incentives attract more customers, what CTAs get more clicks, and so much more. So you again might be wondering, how is it related to Black Friday? And we will definitely explain that. And we will talk more about Black Friday in general. So I really want you to, note that this is useful not only for Black Friday event, because growing your subscriber list is essential for your business, and you need to know how to do that properly. That's what we will focus mainly on today. And I know that it will help you have a bigger and better engaged audience for the event, like Black Friday, and for all the future events. All right, I think that's all. Let's move on to the exciting stuff. First, I really want to ask our audience, have you guys already started prepping for Black Friday or not? Let me run the poll. Okay, while you guys are voting, I have a question for Gabe. So why is Black Friday so important? And if it is so important, why do we need to start preparing so in advance, like 5 months now until the Black Friday? Why not to start 1 month in advance?
Yeah, great question. So obviously Black Friday, Cyber Monday is the Super Bowl of e-commerce marketing. You all know that. No new information there, but we have to prepare for it. So I love analogies. My team knows I always come up with great analogies, or at least I think they're great. I throw some dad jokes in there and that kind of stuff as well. But that being said, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday is going to be the big race. It's going to be the big event, and we have to prepare for that. And so starting now and earlier is all about making sure that everything is prepared. If you're if you're a procrastinator like me, and you occasionally can get your stuff in order and actually like accomplish things on a timeline ahead of time, it's liberating. It makes things way easier and way better. So you can kind of start playing around with what works, what's not working, what's causing your audience to engage with you, what's kind of putting them off. And that way, when you're able to really craft that strategy. So when you go into the big holiday, and we'll talk more things later in the series about like how many campaigns should you be sending? What's the timing of those campaigns look like? What automation should you have set up? And so this is going to be that first introduction of pop-up forms, right? This is where someone comes to your website. This is your first impression. We know how important first impressions can be. So this opportunity to build your brand voice, to show off your colors, to show off, what they're going to experience is hugely impactful and is going to set that whole stage as you go forward. So the important part now is if I have 5,000 contacts or 50,000 contacts, and by Black Friday, Cyber Monday, I want to be emailing 70, 100,000 contacts. You have to get those contacts some way. And pop-up forms are great because those contacts are opting in specifically. They're giving you their permission to email. It's not, Bob from wherever saying, hey, I found this spreadsheet of email addresses in the warehouse. Do you think we can send them? Please don't ever do that. Don't get enticed by the people on LinkedIn that are like, I have 5,000 qualified contacts that fit perfect for your list. That's called list purchasing or list renting, they'll say. Please don't do those things. So pop-up forms are fantastic because at that point you're owning that contact opt-in. That contact has very clearly raised their hand and said, yes, I want to hear from you. And now we're going to engage with them.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense completely. Let me end the poll and I have the results and now I'll share them right away. Do you see them now? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we had 3 choices to answer. Yes, I'm already planning my strategy. No, I thought it's too early yet. And no, I haven't done anything for Black Friday before. And I was really, excited to know if we have people here who never send anything, or like never prepared for Black Friday. And we do 21%, 11 people who did not. And 9 out of all of those who voted already started their strategy. So I hope that we will be helpful to everyone here today, for those who already started and those who didn't, and those who never did anything for Black Friday. Okay, so let's now move to the builder and create that awesome pop-up form, sign-up form to achieve the main goal. Collect more subscribers to the event and for the future promos. So let me share my screen real quick.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever you did is working now. So don't touch anything. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, great. So that's fine. All right, everybody. Now you see the templates library on your screen. And as I already mentioned, we have lots of different templates over here that you can choose from. You can filter them by goal, theme, type, and form settings. So literally, we have everything that you might think of or need to create a perfect form. We will be creating a sign-up form today, and we can actually choose out of any and make it a sign-up form. We are talking about Black Friday, but we will create a general sign-up form first, and then we'll talk about Black Friday sign-ups a bit later, because it's still kind of early to promote Black Friday to your customers, right? Because it's 5 months away, but it is important to start prepping for it. Before we choose any template, there's one thing that I really want to, point to. When you choose what form to create in Omnisend or overall, there's one mistake that marketers do. When they're in a rush, they just choose the very basic, the very default template like this. And I don't mean that simple is bad. Simple is good, especially if your store is very minimalistic, and simple pop-up would be probably the best option in my opinion. But what I mean is that some marketers, they just pick the most basic one and they just, set it live without changing anything, without adapting it to their branding, or, without even changing the settings, ending up in the situation where the pop-up just appears on your customer screen, but doesn't do anything, doesn't do anything. And I don't know, that could be just my opinion, but what do you think, Gabe? Is this very default pop-up good or bad?
Yeah, I mean, I think it alludes back to what we chatted about a second ago. Like the pop-up is the opportunity to make a first impression, unless you're triggering it on exit, which I saw a little question come in. So we'll kind of address this idea a little bit, both of like, when do we trigger a pop-up? And we're going to get into all the details of that. But the pop-up should represent who you are as a brand. And we're going to show some examples later from different brands, and it should emulate what you guys are trying to show out there. again, back to the analogies, and this is something we can all relate with, is if you think of like the stereotypical high school drama movie, right? Like sort of those guilty pleasure movies you watch, and they kind of have all these stereotypes. I always tell people, I'm like, think of your brand as what kid in high school are you, right? If your brand was going to high school, would they be like the theater kid, the sports kid, the cheerleader, the academic, and you can kind of start building these personalities. And I've even had worked with customers where they actually name their brand persona, and here's what Jack is going to do today. And this is the way Jack speaks. And this is the way Jack writes his copy. And this is the colors that Jack would wear, kind of situation. And you can have a lot of fun with that. And so, if again, the idea of this minimalistic thing, right? Like get 10% off your first order, 100% text. We see sometimes text and emails work really well, right? It's a pattern interrupt. So if you have like a whole bunch of like bold colors and graphic images on your website, and you want to like highlight what your pop-up is doing, this makes a ton of sense. If your website's kind of like scaled back, very basic, and is all about, the time to purchase, making it as quick as possible, then this may absolutely work well with your brand. And you can absolutely have a lot of fun with the copy there, but it's all going to be about testing, right? So testing, like, okay, if I do a text only pop-up, what's my submission rate? If I turn that off and add something with a whole bunch of images, what does it look like? We can angst ourselves as marketers and as people who have built companies that we have so much passion about, right? Like a lot of us are owner operators, we're solopreneurs, and like we've built this brand because we noticed this niche and we are passionate about that niche. And we're like, hey, here's an opportunity for a business. So when we're building these pop-ups, we sometimes overcomplicate things because we're like, oh, it doesn't look exactly like I want. But if you think about your other shopping experiences, like, can you, with 100% accuracy, recall the last pop-up that you saw and what stood out about it? And like, maybe there's one in there that you could like kind of allude to, but for the most part, like these are quick hits, quick glances. Like, is it achieving the goal of getting the contact sign up? That's our number one goal. So whatever you have to do to get that sign up, that's what your focus should be. Kate, you're going to do a phenomenal job here showing us how to use the pop-up form builder and like doing some really creative things quickly. So you can make these things really, really sharp looking without a lot of effort. And that's the whole goal of Omnisend, is how do we do this as easy as possible without distracting you? Because when we get into it, like if you have a busy sales day, like we know some of you are ending up in the warehouse and packing boxes. And so you want to be able to set these pop-ups, kind of forget about them, let them do their job, and then move forward. So that was a really long-winded answer. I told you I get nerdy about this stuff. I get really excited about
it. Right. Okay. Thanks, Gabe. So let's just quickly go through the template library because I didn't scroll down. So you just, to show you that we really do have a lot of different templates that you could choose from. And if you really don't have time to create your form from scratch, you can choose from this long list. I'm pretty sure you'll find something suitable for your brand that you need to only, twist a couple of things and set it live. I will choose the most default one. Just because we will anyway build a form from scratch. So let's just use this template and make it pop. I will delete everything. And let me just quickly say that your pop-up can be, again, this simple, like this, just adapt. You can use this default template if you don't really have much time and adapt colors to your brand, how your website looking, change copy, change the offer here. Maybe you don't offer 10% off, but you're offering, I don't know, a free shipping with your, with the subscription, whatever you offer, and set it live. So I will delete everything we have here. So I will show you the whole process from A to Z. And I know that some of you guys probably are advanced and already built a couple of, like one or a couple of forms inside Omnisend, and you know the process, but I do have a couple of things to, kind of show you that I think you didn't know about, but we will see. And during the whole process, we will be talking also about what are good incentives to offer, what are good CTAs, as I already said. So quickly to start with, we have a very empty form here. And when you start building a form from scratch, I usually start with the theme settings because that's where we have a form layout, colors, buttons, and fields. But I always start with a form layout. Why? Because when I think of creating a new form, I'm thinking about how it should look like at first. And we have 5 options here, which is having your image on the right or on the left, above the whole, all other items that you will have in this pop-up, background behind all of the items, and no image at all. I want to create first this type of form, which has a background behind all the items, and I'll explain you why a bit later. It's just a little trick maybe that I learned and that I really like when brands, creating their forms like that. So we have an empty form, we have a layout. Here you can also decide if you want your form to be, when it pops on your website, you can decide where exactly it should pop, in the middle, top left, top right. You get the point. So this is form layout, settings. Let's move to the items library, and that's where we have everything you can add to the form easily just by dragging and dropping it to the form. We have email, we have phone number, input, date, and drop down, radio button, checkbox. Those items are all for collecting something you want to get from your customers. Also legal consent, button, text, image, line or space, and Wheel of Fortune. We'll talk about all of that. But now let's think what we want to have in our form. And here I want to ask you a question, Gabe. I will pull text because it's obvious that we need some text, like a title and description. But I wonder, what should we collect? Email, phone number, email and phone number, date of birth, anything. What feels right and what will perform better?
Yeah. So obviously, like for me, the number one thing I'm going to be collecting is email address, right? Because that is going to be still the primary source of communication. And there's a lot of thoughts that go into this. Like, do you collect email and text? Do you collect just email? Do you collect just text? I know we're going to talk about 2-step forms. So do you collect email on the first step, then text, SMS opt-in in the second step? Lots of flexibility. Again, it's a complicated answer in that, to me, when I'm coming to a web, and I always try to put myself in the shoes of the buyer. What kind of experience do I want as a shopper that's going to make me most likely convert? I've been doing this long enough that like pop-ups used to be like a bad thing. And we all had extensions that were like, that did pop-up blockers. Like, and now we're like, you have to have the pop-up, which is so funny to like think about, like this, dramatic shift in like, oh, pop-ups are good now, right? So the idea being here, right? Depending on your level, right, of advanced versus basic, right? Basic is, we kind of have this saying like, done is better than perfect. And that sounds odd, but it's like, hey, like collecting emails in a pop-up that's not the perfect pop-up is better than not collecting emails at all. Having a welcome automation with one message that says, thanks for signing up, is better than not having a perfect 8-part welcome series that like completely outlines exactly why your brand is the best and like everyone needs to buy from you. So getting something started to then go back and edit, and like, if we look at this pop-up form right now, if you guys need to understand, like if Kate clicks enable, like it's live on the site. So you have to make sure that you kind of have like, you're just being mindful of this. So, that's how quickly you can make these changes in the updates. So to me, it's capture email first. See, like, do your customers respond to a pop-up? And, we can get into all kinds of triggering and all these different variables. So we have to be mindful of that. To me, if I'm starting basic, I'm capturing email and I'm doing a 3-second trigger. So it gives time for the page to load and then the pop-ups coming up. And then the copy I'm going to include on that, again, it's got to fit the brand voice. To me, I'm more of like satirical, a little sarcastic. So there's one pop-up that I love. It's like, hey, sorry for being an a-hole, but we really want to be able to like communicate with you about like upcoming sales and events. Like that to me is like, it fits with a brand. It's funny. It's a pattern interrupt because everybody is like, whoa, what's happening? And it's like, yeah, this is kind of annoying. Like you're throwing something in my face like right away. Like, what if I don't even like your brand? I clicked through a Facebook ad. I clicked through an Instagram post. Someone told me about you. So I'm here. This is my first impression. What am I getting? So to me, start with email. Then expand your strategy to like doing email and text. And then we can get later on down the path with different triggers where maybe we're running Facebook ads and we have specific links, and you can trigger pop-ups on specific links. Just making sure that if you're going to incentivize your sign up, that carries through everything, right? So the idea being here, 5 months out, we're just trying to capture as many email addresses as we can to build that email list. And if a 20% offer is working, that's great. If you're having a site-wide 50% off sale, don't incentivize your pop-up, right? Like there's no point in that. It's like, you could change the copy to, hey, we're having a 50% off sale today. If you want to know the next time we have a 50% off sale, make sure you sign up today, right? You don't need to incentivize at welcome because you already have a big incentive going. If you're not offering a discount on your website, then incentivize the pop-up. And, again, with the trigger settings, we can schedule these pop-ups and disable these pop-ups. So you can set this stuff up in your strategy as you go. Kate will get into all of that. But those are like the little things you just have to think about. And it shouldn't be overwhelming because it's all very common sense in terms of strategy. It's all the things that you would think would make sense. They're already built there for you.
Right. Okay. Awesome. So we have here 2 text boxes, email and button. So let's collect on the email here. With this pop-up, as I already mentioned, we have lots of other items you could pull. If you have your proven strategy and you really need to collect anything else, you can always do that. Just if you want to collect date of birth, just pull it, drop it. Here it is. All that's left is to finish the design of your pop-up. It's that easy. All right. So now we have just, raw things here and it doesn't look pretty, but let's make it pretty. I did not mention layouts yet, but let me do that. So why did I choose the layout, the whole form layout to be like this, the background image, behind all the text? I actually wanted to have a 2-column layout, and here's why. Let me just that easily drag and move all the items to the other layout. Like this. Let's delete this 1-column layout. So that's what I have. And my idea is that I have an image like this with some, let's imagine that I'm selling some chocolate goods, some sweets. And I just want to have some of my sweets on my pop-up just to, drag attention. And I want all of my info to be on either left or right, in this case, on the right. You can't really do that with this type of form because that's what it does. It's, you have a picture on one side and just plain white background on the other side. It doesn't have your picture background behind the items. That's why I'm using this type of layout. So I kind of, blend it in and it looks much better to me. To fill out this space, I will just drag and drop the line or space, block, use space, set it minimum. It's not going to be visible. No dots going to be on your actual pop-up form on your website. It's going to be just showing the visual on the left, and you will have all the items on your right. It is necessary to use the 2-column layout for this type of pop-up forms if you want to create one. So that's the whole secret idea behind using this type of form layout for your pop-up form. Now let's write what we want to offer to our customers. So what incentive would be better? Should I offer a discount? Should I offer, a gift? What works better?
Yeah, great. There's a lot of options here, right? So I would say percent off is definitely gonna be your number one, right? That's gonna be easiest, and then it's easy to set up to align with your welcome series. When you're creating like custom coupon codes in Shopify, and you can import those into your automation series and then remind them if they haven't used it yet. So very, very easy, right? Excuse me. So get 10% off, right? That's going to grab people's attention. And then, I would say second is going to be $1 off. So you can definitely play around with that. At this point, especially getting into Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and I know shipping costs keep changing, everyone's kind of expecting free shipping at this point. It's 2023. There's this is a whole nother topic we can get into about like people are starting to charge for returns. So do you do that? And that kind of helps to offset your shipping costs if you're accepting those returns. But I think a 10% off is an easy discount to kind of start with in terms of, how much does that impact your margins and how are you playing around with it? And then again, you can also play with no incentive whatsoever, right? So you can kind of go that mentality of exclusivity, right? Be the first to know, be a part of the VIP club, be in the in crowd, those types of things. So the idea being here that if you're on our email list, you're going to be the first to know. So if you have products that go out of stock often, if you have limited supplies, limited quantities, those types of mentalities, if you're going to offer your email subscribers or people who fill up the specific form, special invites to virtual events or special incentives, like all of those things you can highlight going down the road. I would say probably like a month and a half to 2 months before, you can absolutely start crafting copy around like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like, hey, we know it's July, but we've seen people do Christmas and July sales. You can be like, hey, if you want to know about this big sale and our actual holiday sale, like the only way to be the first to know to get in on the great deal is to sign up now. And that mentality and that exclusivity, scarcity, people love that type of stuff. Why do we see all those little like pop-ups in the bottom corner of like, so-and-so just bought this product in, New York, and so-and-so just bought this product in San Francisco, or, 40 people are looking at this product and there's only 28 left in stock, right? That idea, that psychology behind this idea of scarcity and like, oh, I've got to get it before I miss out. FOMO is a real thing. People like encourage people that if they don't sign up, they're going to miss out.
Right. So, okay, we have get 10% off here. What kind of description text should I write? Something, join our, I don't know, club?
Could be a join our club, get 10% off. It could be like, exclusive offer for new subscribers only, right? Like that's the idea of like, oh, it's exclusive, it's for new, it's just for me, that kind of thing. And of course you can always be punny at this point too, right? People love punny subject lines. So like, you'll never see a deal so sweet, right? Like that's a fly, kind of.
Okay.
There you go.
Let me just write something like join our club and be the first one to know about our secret sales. Let's imagine, I run secret sales at my candy store. Okay, so we have an email box here and the CTA. Let's make it look even more pretty. If you were looking at the screen while we were talking, I changed a couple of things here. I changed the color of text that you can do simply by highlighting the part you want to change the color of and change it here, make it bold, italic, and so on, center it or align it to the right or left. You can do it right over here on your right. I always use paddings. I don't know if you guys use them, but I strongly recommend it because it helps to, kind of like adjust the spacing on your form, make it wider or more narrow, playing with the padding helps a lot. So do pay attention to it when you build a form or email or whatever, and our builders always use that. Let's make it a bit smaller maybe because I want it to be one line. So let's make it 35. Let's make this text a bit bigger because I think it's kind of small and not that easy to read. Let's do 25. Okay. Here's your email box. And here's the button. Let's change the button style to, let's see if the white color is not that visible here. So let's do maybe black. Black is always good. It's always visible. Turn up the border width. We don't need that. Text color is white. I want it to be much bigger because I want people to click on it. And by the way, Gabe, what do you think? Does bigger buttons get more clicks or it doesn't really matter?
Yes, they do, because people are lazy and they need to be told exactly what to do. I have lots of stories, so I always encourage you to review your customer support tickets and see where people are struggling. So if you offer a big sale and people are like, I don't know where to enter the discount code, Now you know how to update your email copy and know exactly like where the buttons need to go. So people are very clear on how to redeem those coupons and those discounts. If people can't find the product, like make those buttons big, right? If you shop on Amazon, if you look at Amazon emails, it's shop now. It's everyone understands exactly what to do. Your consumers, your contacts, like they need to be told what to do. People are lazy buyers. So definitely encourage them and just tell them exactly what you want them to do.
Right, that makes sense. Okay, so here it is how it looks like for the buttons. If when you're in this type of view here, you don't really see buttons here. If you want to change something like the style of your button, you can simply click on it and it opens button settings right away, or you can find it here in the theme settings by going to the buttons. And we have three type of buttons you can, set up and just switch between those. So you can set them up in advance to not do that every time. When you go to the specific button settings, you can change whatever here. The font size, shape, doesn't have to be, you don't really need to just click and have some set shapes, but you can also change the shape yourself by setting the number here, all the decorations, colors, again, paddings. And this padding thing is really cool for buttons as well, because it used to be like you could only have it centered, left, right, or full, and you couldn't change anything else. Sometimes full doesn't really work. It's too big for you. So what you can do now, you can have it centered. And let's go to the button settings and to the padding, and you can actually make it like, let's say I want it 30 from one side and 30 from another side. So I can make it wider without making it like, full width with that fill option, which I really love. I was really excited when we released that feature. Okay, so let's make it full right now because it works for me for this template. So that's what we have. Also, you can always change the field style. Sometimes, I do believe that the field box should be visible too. Sometimes it can, blend in with the background and not be that visible. I know people are not blind and they might still see that, but I say that it's better to have it really visible, like the CTA as well. So you can always change the text color, the placeholder color, label color, everything here. I was actually also wondering, Gabe, if you have any opinion. I was thinking about the placeholder here, the email text above. Is it necessary to have that, to specify that it's email?
For this example, I would say no. Birthday, if you were including like additional fields like that, definitely. Just because you want to make sure they're putting in the information. I know we had a question I think is appropriate to answer now is like, should we collect first name? And my answer to all of that is any additional fields you want to collect is totally okay. Obviously, you want to test and see submission rate, right? If you're asking for a whole bunch of information, it's more than likely going to reduce your submission rate because people are lazy, right? However, if you think first name is really important, or like we're going to show some example, I'm going to show an example later on about like, what color is your favorite nail polish, right? Only collect that information if you're actually going to use it. So I know the question in the chat was around like collecting first name. If you plan on using that first name, like in a subject line or like in your email copy, then by all means collect that information in the pop-up if that's really important to you. But don't collect information just to collect information if you're not going to do anything with it. That's my biggest piece of advice, and kind of can keep that process simple. But again, like to me, enter your email, first name, birthday. Like I think it's a case by case basis there, in terms of how much noise you want around those fields.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you can simply, if you don't want that noise, you can simply turn off like that label thing, or, you can play with all the settings here. You have all the freedom to change and adjust things. So let's keep it like this. It's pretty obvious because it says here in the placeholder text, enter your email. Yeah, we're done with this part of field. Let's go back to the CTA really quick. So shop now doesn't seem right to me on this pop-up. What should I write? What would be really clickable?
So for this one, because it's join our club, I would say like, get in, or you're in, or welcome to the club, or, any of those, or like click here for the secret password. You can have a lot of fun with those types of different things, depending on what you're going for. So that kind of thing. So, or join now, like all of those types of synonyms going around with it. You're going to, people understand, I'm going to enter my email address and I'm going to hit the button. Submit for the longest time. Submit was the longest, kind of running, like, yeah, people are actually consenting to do this. And so you're good to go there. So again, you can, depending on how much testing you want to do, you can always test these things. You can get into like, what about the color of the button? Do we test that? And of course, then you have all these other variables. So I stopped running Facebook ads when I changed the color of the button. So was it the Facebook ads that caused less submissions, or was it the color of the button? You have to be mindful of those things when you're testing, but lots of things you can do. And good news is, if you're at this point where you're testing the color of the button and the copy of your button, you're skyrocketing in revenue and email sales, because you've got all the other stuff figured out. So again, the goal of this pop-up webinar is to like start collecting opt-ins responsibly. So you're getting that consent, and you're actually collecting new contacts, and you're emailing them, and you're getting them used to your brand, and you're getting them used to your cadence of communication, so that when you email them, 800 times in 4 days over Black Friday, Cyber Monday, they're not going like, who the heck is this that's emailing me?
Right. Okay. Awesome. So here is what we have right now. The only thing I also want to change is the form width. I want it to be a bit wider, because my pictures, they kind of, a bit bigger than that. And you can always remember about paddings. If you want your text to be like all these items to be more to the left, you can do that with a padding by, entering here numbers, and it will, move all those blocks to the right position you need it. Okay, that's what we have right now. Anything else I would like to add? Not really, because all I want is to collect email, offer my 10% off. That's it. Let me quickly move this because it's in the way. Okay, so I'm done with building the form. Before we go to the very important part, which is behavior settings, let me also quickly mention a couple of important things. First of all, always check how your form looks like on desktop and mobile. And here's the thing, that when you're creating a form with the image, obviously it is going to look either different like this, it shrinks, so it cuts off the part of the visual if you're using this type of layout, or if you're using a layout with the picture on the right or left, it will simply cut off the picture, and it will have only that, one color part with all the items. So, it's not big of a deal if you still want to have a form with a picture. You can try and use the layout with the picture above. Sometimes, if you select the right picture, it will keep it there in this type of form, and you will have a different kind of pop-up for mobile. But this view is very, it's the smallest, the most narrow it could be, just to show you how small it could be. It doesn't mean that it's going to be like this on all phones. Right now, every second person has a very big phone with a very big screen. So you can expect that it would almost look like this on desktop. So don't worry about this view. It's not going to be like this on every device. Don't forget to check every time you create anything, a pop-up, a form, or email, doesn't matter. The very important part is to set up the thank you and subscribed messages. So when your customer subscribes through your pop-up, you need to either, you need to let them know that they successfully did that. Don't forget, you have this box here which says success, and if you click the arrow, you see the subscribed. Don't forget to adjust this bar to just let your customers know that they are signed up. So right now it's by default, just adapt it so it's visible on the kind of background you chose. And yes, you can't change the background picture. So make sure you also, do the same thing. If you're using the strategy like I do with this two-column layout, just do the same thing that we did for the pop-up itself. Here we go. We have a text on the right. Thank you for signing up. As a thank you, you'll find a 10% discount in your inbox. Is there anything else to add here, Gabe?
No, I mean, just making sure that if you use this as your success message, that you have a welcome series set up in Omnisend. So that way, when someone signs up on the pop-up, they get that email. That's extremely important because they will 100% contact you in customer support and say, hey, I didn't get my email. I didn't get my discount for signing up. And when people sign up, their intent to purchase is high. And so you want to definitely nurture them through that process and make sure that they don't have any hiccups in that process that will get them detoured.
Right. Oh, I clicked something. Oh no, I think it's fine. Yeah, you see the same thing still, right? Okay. Yep. Great. Okay. So yeah, don't forget to set up the success and already subscribed message if somebody already subscribed. Very important. So it doesn't, because it will have, when you set up a form, it will have the default ones, right? And let's say you set up your form and you offer in free shipping with their first order. And when they subscribe, it says this default message that they will receive their 10% off, which is not true. So make sure to do that. We are done with building a pop-up form. Here it is. There are two more things that you can add, which Gabe already mentioned, the two-step form. By just clicking the plus sign here, it will automatically add you the second step. Do the same setup, design setup like you did here. And you can collect anything else like a phone number. Just one thing, I am not personally sure if two-step forms are good or bad. So what do you think, Gabe? Should our customers...
I think they're great. I think they can collect. And the good thing about the Omnisend form is if I'm coming to your website and I fill out my email address, and then I click next and I'm like, oh, I don't want to submit my phone number, I've already opted in an email. So you've still captured that email address. I'm still going to get the welcome series, all that kind of thing. If I want to, to me, SMS is more of a VIP exclusive channel. We know that the amount of unread emails we have versus unread SMS is drastically different. And people are going to read SMS very quickly. But the brands that I want to interact with via SMS are the brands that I'm actually going to be really want to interact with. So to me, SMS should really be more of an exclusive kind of thing. So what I've been playing around with and kind of getting some customers to play around with is having, when we're going to talk about triggers about, when you enter the site versus when you exit the site. So the idea being here of hey, when someone enters the site, let's capture email address. Let's start that nurturing process. We're going to cookie them. So we're going to track their behavior across the site. And then we can set up triggers where it's okay, you know what, if they click on 2 pages, or maybe they spend more than, 3 minutes on the site, which is an eternity, right? If someone's on your site browsing for 3 minutes, that's a long time. And again, you can play with these triggers. Then they get ready to exit. Now we can trigger an exit intent pop-up, or just based on that timing. Hey, if they're still on your site, be like, hey, you really seem to be interested. We want to make sure that you are part of again, this idea of exclusivity, or, hey, we want to, would you be interested in hearing from us via SMS? And kind of taking that next level of hey, they've committed to this relationship a little bit in terms of building this partnership of hey, they're going to shop on our brand. And that's where SMS can come in. So if I was running a brand, I'd probably ditch the two-step form in favor of an entrance and an exit pop-up asking for those 2 bits of information. But again, I would do a lot of testing around it and check.
Right. Okay. So yeah, if you want to have a two-step form, it's that easy. Just click the plus sign and you set up the second step right here. And I think Gabe mentioned that it could be always optional. You're collecting email first. And if your customers feel like giving you a phone number as well, they can do that, but they can also close the pop-up and you'll still get them as a subscriber to the email, but not SMS. Okay, let's just delete this because we want it to be one step. One more thing I want to mention about the design, and it is very important because I personally faced a couple of situations where, so the close button color, it is very important because, when you have a dark color pop up and that close button is not visible, your customers will get annoyed eventually. And they might, let you know, write you, I don't know, an email saying that your pop-up is annoying, I can't close it. Or they can also not let you know anything and just, instead of trying to close the pop-up, they will close your website and move to your competitor. That's a real thing. Faced it a couple of times. So make sure when you create a pop-up form that this close button sign is visible. You can just simply click on it and adjust the color here, the close button itself, and you can even add the background. So it's always visible. I'm not saying that pop-ups are always very annoying, but it's better to have that close button sign than not. Yeah. Okay. We are done with this. Last thing is teaser. And let me just enable it and quickly explain what it is. It's this small thing, kind of a CTA that appears on your store website that your customers click on. It's just small thingy offering something. And when they click, the pop-up opens like this and they can subscribe. What I want to ask you, Gabe, if it's actually working, if it's, is it better to have just a pop-up appearing after like a couple of seconds, or, any other behavior settings, or teaser is also beneficial? Like, is it clickable?
Yeah, so I like the teaser. To me, if someone does decide like, hey, I'm just trying to get to know your brand and I'm going to exit out of your pop-up, and people are adding more and more like infinite scrolls, right? So people, if they exit the pop-up, they're like, oh, I do want to learn more from this brand. I'm going to scroll down to the footer to get that sign up.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you have the infinite scroll, you can't get to the bottom. So that's really frustrating.
Right.
The teaser prevents that. Also, the teaser is going to match your pop-up that you built. So if you're consistently changing out that pop-up, playing around with those incentives, and that incentive doesn't live in your news in like the footer form, that's one more thing you have to update. So to me, the teaser is perfect because it eliminates some of those additional steps in terms of making sure the shopping experience is consistent across the entire site. We kind of do it for you.
All right, great. All right, so yeah, you can have that option if you like. If you don't, just disable it and you'll have just a pop-up. We are done with the whole building process and design. It's very simple. We have all things on your left and on your right. You are free to do whatever you want to your pop-up. And if you still have more questions, if you will have more questions while building another pop-up, you can always, ask your questions, our wonderful support, and they will be able to help you out. Now let's move to the behavior settings, which is the last part, and I think the most important part. And that's where I will ask you, Gabe, to help me out. Like,
sure.
What works best? Let's start maybe with the audience management.
Yeah, great question. So obviously, if you want to keep track of your version of forms and where people are signing up from, so downstream, you can be like, hey, we had, maybe less people submit this 10% offer, but we saw higher revenue. And that's where you can kind of play around with segments and Omnisend. So you can tag the audiences as they come in. Double opt-in. If you have any issues with deliverability whatsoever, you should 100% be using double opt-in to encourage your customers to do that. So Omnisend will automatically send a second email to opt in. It's like, yeah, you signed up for the pop-up, but are you sure you really want to hear from us? So, quantity will drop, but quality will definitely increase. So yeah, that's where I would kind of leave it with audience.
Right. And you can set up the double opt-in content, that email that is being sent right over here. Add your text here, especially if you want to A/B test. Let's go to the scheduling part. Here you can schedule when you want your form to, go live. You can keep it, always show the form when you click enable, it will be enabled on your website right away, but you can also select the start and end date or both. I think nothing much to talk about here.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of my favorite features. I mean, you can always go back, and so you can say always show. And then if you're going to do that special Black Friday, Cyber Monday, big incentive sale pop-up form, you can schedule an end date later on down the road, and then do that start and end date going there again. So you've got some flexibility there in terms of, I trust me, I've been there with you all, where you're up at midnight going, oh, I've got to re-enable the form, I've got to disable this form because here goes the big sale, and now you can sleep. Right. And rest easy that the forms are going to go live when you schedule them to go live.
Yep, do just everything in advance. Okay, display. I think that's like one of the most important ones. Where to show.
Yeah, and we've kind of highlighted this as we've been talking through the design and stuff. Again, I think it's all about content of the pop-up. So, and you can have multiple pop-ups triggered on your site all at once. So, the content around like number of pages, number of page scroll, exit intent, and these are all OR logics. So if I go to, if I set up 25% scroll depth, that means someone's gone 25% of your page, or 3 page clicks, like whatever one of those I hit first, that's what's going to trigger the pop-up. And you can play around with those. So, and then obviously exit intent is someone gets ready to leave. You kind of do that, wait, don't go kind of situation. So lots of opportunities there for you.
Yeah, choose any, just click here the checkbox, and like if you want it to be page visits, I don't know, let's say 5 pages, just enter it here, time on the page in seconds, 50 seconds, scroll depth 25%. Obviously don't enable all of these because it could be very annoying. Just choose the best that would work for your brand. The targeting part,
so this is huge for Facebook audiences. So we've got segment syncs with Google and Facebook. So if you're running ad campaigns over there, whether you're doing lookalike audiences or trying to run reactivation campaigns, this is where you can set forms up so that if someone clicks through a link because you're doing a retargeting campaign, they're landing on a page where a specific form is then going to display for you, right? So the idea of, hey, we'd love to have you back, or hey, you look like just our other buyers, come check out our website. Hey, you found us. Opt in to get the best and best content, whatever kind of situation. So a lot of flexibility there. And then if for some reason someone's like returning to an abandoned cart and they clear their cookies all the time and you don't want to throw a pop-up on your checkout page, that's where you can exclude that URL, right? Because that's a high intent to buy, and so we don't want to distract them from that purchase. So you can be smart about what you include and what you exclude.
Right. Okay. Then there goes the visibility. I think it's very simple here. You can either have it visible only on mobile or desktop or both. It just depends. If you're maybe A/B testing, you want to run one pop-up on mobile devices and one on desktop. So you can just mark it here. So it will instantly show you how it's going to look like right over here. Okay. And the last one is frequency. So what about that? What's the best?
I usually recommend 7 days. So this is if someone opts out of the pop-up, when do they get shown again? To me, a week is reasonable. If someone keeps coming to your site once every week and they see that pop-up form again, like they should be opting in at that point. They're obviously engaged if they keep coming back to your website. So to me, 7 days is fair. Yeah,
I would say that not less than 7 days, because I do get a lot of find a lot of websites where I could, open that website a couple of times per week and I will always get that pop-up and I will oh God, close. Okay, we're done with behavior. We're done with the form. Here it is, ready to collect new subscribers. Just click enable and it will set live on your website according to the settings that you set here. That's it for the pop-up form. We are done. Let me stop sharing my screen. Oh no, actually, let me go back to sharing my screen because there's one more thing that I wanted to mention. So we're done here. I save and close. We talked about, the general pop-up form. And I already mentioned that we're not creating a pop-up form, with Black Friday incentives yet because it's too early. And as Gabe mentioned, that you want to have a bigger audience closer to the event, so you have more people to promote your, either, I don't know, you're running sales, you're offering something, anything. You just want to have more, a bigger subscriber list, which is very reasonable. So you can use that form that we just created, use those ideas, all that knowledge you just learned. But you can also use all of the templates we have here. Let's quickly just mention the Black Friday templates. We do have those, and we can actually just click here, holiday.
Yeah, they're under
celebrations, right? And we have a couple of 5 form templates for Black Friday, which looks really cool, that you can use closer to the event itself. And we will have more templates closer to the event as well that you could use. What I want to ask you, Gabe, again, so we were talking about incentives overall for forums, which could be discounts or something, $5 off, offering free shipping, offering a free gift, just trying to attract customers with offering them to subscribe to something exclusive. But what about Black Friday? I know we can, you can promote your sales there, but anything else? What about the Wheel of Fortune?
So Wheel of Fortune, gamification, obviously people love to play a game. So you're going to get a high quantity of contacts. They may not be the best quality, but people definitely want to play the game. I always go back to brand voice. If you're a high-end luxury brand, like Wheel of Fortune probably doesn't fit with that brand voice super well. If you are a consumable good, you can obviously play around with the color slices and all that kind of stuff. People love to spin a wheel. You can definitely have fun with it. It just has to fit the brand. That's my biggest advice there.
Okay, awesome. So we can still use that, right? Okay, because I was, thinking, is it getting old, or you can still kind of...
people love to spin a wheel. It's still there.
Right. I gotta admit that I spent a couple of wheels last Black Friday. So yeah. Okay. So that's about the Black Friday templates, and I can stop sharing my screen. We are done with that. I know that you, Gabe, have a couple of examples that you prepared as well of good templates. So I think it would be very interesting, just to see what other successful examples we have.
See. I think I'm successful. Can we see it? Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. First go around. All right, perfect. So I know we're coming up on time. We'll keep recording. So if you have to pop the balance off, totally understand, but I'll talk for a little bit. So these are just some examples. These are all Omnisend customers. Modcat is one of my favorite brands. I finally converted to being a cat person like 2 years ago, and Moxie, my cat, is awesome. So they sell high-end litter boxes, which, again, like you just think about these crazy niche products that people sell, and like the guys that own this company just had a passion for it. And they're like, hey, we think we can do it better. And you can see from the very get-go of this image on the left, text on the right, very simple, clean, and it matches the background of the website. Not a huge discount, but you can see the copy here, right? So you get exclusive access to new products, but then they also highlight that they talk about their content. They don't, they sell litter, and so you can talk about the litter health articles. And that's something that a cat owner is gonna feel passionate about, like want to know more about. So it's not just, hey, are you trying to sell me something? It's, what else am I gonna get out of this relationship? And so this is a great example. And again, we're talking about email only. Then we go to something like, a makeup brand. So this is Runway Rogue. They're asking for email and SMS together. You can see that they didn't do like the little text above. It's very simple email. Everyone's going to understand that they need to access their phone number. And then important, they have that disclaimer, right? So we're going to try to be above board in terms of there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what we're collecting and why we're collecting it. We're 100% collecting content, consent here to interact with them. And again, fits the brand. We go from, Runway Rogue, Patricia Hartman was a former supermodel, and like this fits her brand and her persona, right? That's what's happening here versus like the Modcat. And then Free Waters, another great brand. They make really comfortable sandals. And they actually did an animated GIF in this pop-up. So obviously I probably could have gotten fancy and then figured out how to animate it in this example, but it didn't. And they're doing the two-step form, right? So very clear. They love their copy. They definitely are a little bit more loquacious in what they're doing, but you can see what they're doing here and they kind of have fun with the brand in terms of that. And so the GIF actually shows a bowling ball dropping on the sandal to show the durability. So lots of ideas here in terms of what can we do with this pop-up and how do we play around with it. And then this is an example from our templates. So I wanted to call here two-step form, but being used to collect additional information. So the idea here, like enter your email and SMS. Also, hey, do you want to be part of our birthday club? Cool, enter your birthday here. And then we can use that going down the road. This obviously is a very basic example. Like if I was running a nail polish brand, would I actually like collect what color you're looking for? Probably not, because there's probably never a time where I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna segment on just pink nail polish. People who want pink nail polish. Even if I do a product launch, I want everybody to know about that. So lots of flexibility there. And then we talk about basic design. So this is Hallmark, right? They're like, but it fits their brand. Like that's the key thing is like, there's nothing over the top. There's nothing crazy. Hallmark is going to have a massive marketing team and like something is better than nothing. Like could Hallmark make this more jazzy and like add images and like probably more color? Yes. But this works because it collects information and it reduces the hurdles and reduces the frictions to get that sign up. And here they're collecting that name. Why are they collecting the name? Because they're a greeting card company. So they're going to use that first name all over the place, right? Hey, Kate, it's your birthday. Or hey, Kate, don't forget about your, Mother's Day. Hey, Kate, don't forget about your upcoming anniversary. Like it wants to be that personal touch. And so they're going to use that first name to do that. And then we talked a little bit about, forms, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, months in advance. Like I want to call out that like with the dynamic segmentation and Omnisend, you can do things like lookalike audiences. So I want everyone who's ever spent $500 with me and opens and clicks my emails. I'm going to send that over to Facebook and be like, hey, Gabe is almost 40. He's a dad of 2. We can see all of his Facebook information. He likes spending time at the beach. And then we find his neighbor, Bob, who has a very similar demographic. And we know Gabe just bought this beach chair. So we're going to start promoting this to Bob. Bob's never heard about your brand. He comes to the website. He starts submitting his contact information and you've got a new opt-in. That's what these do. And that's what Facebook and Google Customer Match do. So you build a segment in Omnisend and we push that information over to Facebook. You log into your Facebook advertising account, your Google advertising account, and you now see these targeted audiences you can go after. Also work great for reactivation. So people who have bought something and have dropped off the face of the earth, like where have they gone? Facebook can match those for you as well and get them back to the website. And then this is an example of a landing page, which any of the forms that you built today, Kate, you can convert to landing pages or embedded forms. And so this is just one example, very heavy copy, but the idea here is I want to collect as much information as possible. This is for steaks. Who doesn't love a good steak? So this is directly coming from their Facebook page. They were promoting a loyalty club. So, hey, if you want to join the loyalty club, here you go. Again, that idea of exclusivity, there's a discount. I'm going to get some things that other people might not going to get. Lots of flexibility there. And then one more example of just, collecting. This is one thing we need to talk about in terms of incentivizing the sign up is dollar off, coupons, be in the club. Sweepstakes work great because you can pick one winner. And I had one customer that sold high-end furniture and they would do like a monthly giveaway. So here's a really high-end lamp. Here's a really high-end chair. Game High, they're offering a $2,500 gift card. These are little things that you can kind of play around with that build brand awareness, build excitement, and get those contact lists built up. So lots of flexibility there. And I think that was the last slide I had because I just wanted to get those examples out there for you all. So let me figure out how to stop my screen. I got so good at starting my screen share, but then couldn't figure out how to stop it. But here we are.
All right, awesome. I think it's a good time to sum it up. I think we are ready to collect more subscribers, and I'm pretty sure if you will follow everything that we mentioned, all the advice that we gave to you today, I'm sure that you will succeed with growing your audience towards the biggest event for the e-commerce of the year. Let's quickly go to a couple of questions that we have. I see that Oscar did a great job answering a lot of questions. So everybody, got their answers. But I do have two questions here.
Okay.
So one of those is, Alice is asking, generally speaking, what is a good time frame to test your pop-ups? 1, 2 weeks, 1 month? Because I always get anxious and will change often if I'm not getting signups.
Yeah, great question. I would say at least 1 week. And again, Alice, this is going to kind of align with how are you driving traffic? How are you driving new traffic to your website, right? If I'm sending an email, those people are already opted in. Right. So if that's only my source of traffic, then obviously I'm not getting any new contacts. So, if I'm setting up a new pop-up, but I'm scaling back my Facebook ad spend or my social media ad spend, whatever channel you're using, or I'm slowing down what I'm posting on social, like it's not really a fair test. So you really have to coordinate like, okay, what's my ad spend? What's my monthly budget? Am I giving it a fair shot? So if I know that I spend monthly, then I'm going to run it for 4 months. Then I'm going to run it for 4 weeks. I'm going to run it for that full month.
Okay. And another question is, people are wondering about push notifications, considering that push notifications are now a standalone channel in Omnisend. It will help you grow your subscribers list. How do we collect subscribers for push?
Yeah, so push is an app. So if you go to your store settings, you can enable that app and push notifications. These are web-based push notifications. So this is not like you have a mobile device. This is, it's obviously not going to support on every browser, but they do work. It's one of those things where like it's been around a long time and people are like, oh, well, what's the best strategy? It's like, just send them. They work. People do engage with them. I think there can be some playing around with like, hey, make sure you're subscribed to email and link to a landing page, right? You can kind of play around with that. Once we identify that the email subscriber is the same person as the push subscriber, those profiles are merged and all that as well. But push notifications, they're kind of fun. It's one of those things where like I hesitate because I think I usually see them on like recipe blog sites where it's like, subscribe to our push notifications. And it's like, well, how many recipes can I have? But again, I think you can have some fun with it. They do work. The people subscribing to those are going to be your most loyal purchasers, your loyal customers. And so they do work effectively well.
Awesome. Great. So those are two questions that were not yet answered, and I'm glad we did. There's one more, which says, can you talk about SMS campaigns? And we will definitely talk about SMS campaigns, but a bit later, because if you remember in the beginning of workshop, I said that we will have a series of workshops and we will talk more. We'll have overall 4 steps. We'll talk about the whole Black Friday strategy prep, how you can boost your revenue with automated workflows and SMS, how, what kind of campaigns you can create to boost your revenue again, have lots of sales. We will talk about all of that, but during our next step. So make sure not to miss those. You will definitely receive your invitations. You will hear from us on our socials. Just make sure to register to either participate like this today or watch a recording later. And yeah, I think that's it. Time to wrap up. We're good. 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm so impressed. And I just want to thank everyone that's still here because that's awesome. And we always talk about our success is your success, and that's how we measure our success. And so we love absolutely working with everyone that uses Omnisend. I know for me, you can look me up on LinkedIn. Omnisend tagged us. If you search Gabe Macaluso, there's probably only one of me out there. So I get really geeky about this stuff. I love talking about marketing. And so feel free to reach out anytime. We appreciate all of you.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Gabe, again, for sharing your tips, tricks with us today. And remember that the workshop is recorded. You will be able to watch it again later if you want to implement some strategies that we shared today. If you want to share it with your colleagues, friends, family, whoever you want, you will be able to do that. You will receive an email to your inbox in a couple of days, and you can always find it on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much again. Don't forget about the survey after you leave the workshop. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what else we can share and, to educate you on And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Awesome. Thanks, Kate.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.